Hello again, it's Miss Frazzle, and I got an idea of something I wanted to share with you. I went out for a little bit of a walk around the yard and I saw ants, and they were just starting to come out of their holes, and they were trying to move some of the dirt. You could see little ants carrying little tiny pieces of dirt, and then I saw some of them with wings, and then I saw one and it had died and another ant was just moving it away from its house. So I got an idea. I thought, all right, I'm going to teach you a little bit about ants, and then I have a really good story about an ant who's trying to find all of its food. So here's some of the videos that I saw just walking around my yard, and maybe you, when the sun is out, you can go and you could find the same thing. I saw black ants, I saw red ants, and I saw little teeny weeny ants. So then I got my ant book out and I thought, I need to learn something more about ants. An ant is an insect. That means it has 6 legs. Remember we studied about spiders and they had 8? An ant has 6. Its tiny waist helps it bend and wiggle through the tunnels. Its 6 strong legs creep and crawl. Its 2 large eyes see the world. Its super tough jaws munch and crunch. Its long feelers touch and tap. The ants live in a group and they call it a colony. An ant colony lives in a nest. Most ants build nests underground. An ant nest is full of tunnels. Each tunnel leads to a little room. So we see that there's worker ants bringing in the food and taking care of the little eggs that the queen ant has laid. And then they become larvae and they become pupas too. The queen is the biggest ant in the colony. She lays eggs all day long. When the eggs hatch, little larvae wriggle out. That means kind of like fat worms. They eat and eat and eat. Larvae turn into pupae. Pupae do not move. Pupae do not eat. After a few weeks, they turn into adult ants. Most of the ants in a colony are workers, and all of the worker ants are female. Inside the nest, some worker ants dig new tunnels. Others take care of eggs, the larvae, and the pupae. Outside the nest, some worker ants collect food, and others guard the nest. A few ants in the colony have wings. Some are females, some are males. Ants with wings fly out of the nest and they start new colonies. Now ants will eat dead animals, and you'll see them sometimes bringing them to their tunnels where they will set up a little food and they'll start to store it, because during the winter, if you notice, they closed them all off. We didn't see any of the ants when it was raining and really, really cold, but now that the sun's coming out, we see them coming out when they're starting to collect. Now ants are an important part of our world. They are food for other animals. Birds, frogs, and spiders eat ants, and so do monkeys and aardvarks. As ants dig tunnels, they mix the dirt. Plants grow better in dirt with ants. It helps get some oxygen in there, helps the water go through. So let's just do a little bit of word work, because I like to do that every time. And I wrote the word here. Ant. Ant. Now I want you to try and change the last sound of ant to the sound that a D makes. So change the last sound of ant to D. And we make the word and. And. All right, let's try a new word. Add a sound to the beginning of and. Add the sound of B to and. Band. Band. All right, let's try a really hard one. Take away the n sound. Take away the n sound. B, add, bad. Change the first sound to s, sad, sad. Today I'm going to read you a story of an ant and a grasshopper. The grasshopper wants to have a little band. The end of the story turns out pretty bad for a grasshopper who doesn't want to save up for the winter, and he becomes very sad. Now this is a fable that was written, so we learn a lesson. The lesson that we learn is, let's start collecting our things for the winter. Let's stock up and let's save a little bit so that we won't run out, especially if you're an ant, because you have to close those doors that winter. The name of my story is called The Grasshopper and the Ants. It was written by Margaret Wise Brown and illustrated by Larry Moore. And Margaret Wise Brown used to write stories like Goodnight Moon, and she wrote them for Disney. The Grasshopper and the Ants, retold by Margaret Wise Brown. Oh, the world owes me a living, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. That's the tune Disney put to it when the grasshopper was singing. The grasshopper was singing his song as he jumped through the fields. He almost jumped on top of some ants who were pulling grains of corn up an anthill. Said the grasshopper to the ants, "Why are you working all through the day? A summer day is time to play." "We can't," said the ants. "Winter will soon be here." The busy little ants did not have time to feel the warm summer sun or to run and jump just for fun. From the beginning of day till the end, they were busy hauling the corn away. Winter was coming. They had no time to play. All summer the grasshopper sang and danced his grasshopper dances in the grasses. When he was hungry, he reached out and ate. And the grasshopper sang, "The good book says the world provides, there's food on every tree. Why should anyone have to work? Not me. Oh, the world owes me a living, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la." With that, he took a big swig of honey from a blue harebell that grew above his head. Then he spit a big wet spit of grasshopper tobacco juice. It nearly landed on a little ant who was dragging a load of cherries to store in the ant house for the winter. Said the grasshopper to the ant, "The other ants can work all day. Why not try the grasshopper's way? Come on, let's sing and dance and play. Oh, the world owes me a living, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la." The little ant was so charmed by the music that he dropped his heavy load and started to dance. Then came the queen of all the ants. And the queen of all the ants frowned on the dancing ant so that he picked up his cherries and went back to the other busy ants. The queen of all the ants spoke sober words to the grasshopper. "You'll change your tune when winter comes and the ground is white with snow." But the grasshopper only made a courtly bow. "Winter is a long way off," he said. "Do you dance? Let's go. Oh, the world owes me a living, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. The other ants can work all day. Why not try the grasshopper's way? Come on, let's sing and dance and play." But even as he sang and played on his fiddle, the queen of all the ants hurried away. She, like the other ants, had no time to play. All through the long, lazy summer months, the grasshopper went on singing. "Oh, the world owes me a living, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la." There was no tomorrow, there was only today. And the sleet and the snow seemed far away. But the little ants worked harder than ever. As long as the sun was in the sky, they went back and forth, carrying the foods from the fields into their ant house. Then the winter wind began to blow. It blew the leaves off the trees. The ants ran into their ant house and closed the door, and you didn't see them in the fields anymore. Every day the winds would blow, and then one day, snow. The grasshopper was freezing. He couldn't find any leaves to eat. All he had was his fiddle and his bow. And he wandered along, lost in the snow. He had nothing to eat and nowhere to go. Then far off, he saw one leaf still clinging to the tree. "Food, food," cried the hungry grasshopper, and he leaned against the wind and pushed on toward the tree. But just as he got there, the wind blew the last dry leaf away. The grasshopper dropped his fiddle and watched the leaf go. It fluttered away through the white snowflakes. It drifted slowly away. It was gone. And then he came to the house of the busy ants. He could hear them inside having a dance. They had worked hard all summer, and now they could enjoy the winter. You see how the grasshopper's changing color? He was a bright green in the beginning, got a little bit yellow, and in this picture, he's actually blue. That's because he's cold. The grasshopper was too cold to go on. The wind blew him over and he lay there where he fell. His long, green, jumping and dancing legs were nearly frozen. Then, very slowly, he pulled himself through the snow to the house of the ants and knocked. When the ants came to the door, they found him there, half frozen, and 10 of the kind and busy ants came out and carried the poor grasshopper into their house. They gave him hot corn soup, and they hurried about, making him warm. Then the queen of all the ants came to him, and the grasshopper was afraid, and he begged of her, "Oh, Madam Queen, wisest of ants, please, please give me another chance." The queen of all the ants looked at the poor, thin, frozen grasshopper as he lay shivering there. Then she spoke these words, "With ants, just those who work may stay. So take your fiddle and play." The grasshopper was so happy that his foot began beating out the time in the old way, and he took up his fiddle and he sang, "I owe the world a living, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la. I've been a fool the whole year long, now I'm singing a different song. You were right and I was wrong, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la." Then all the ants began to dance, even the queen of all the ants. And the grasshopper sang, "Now I'm singing a different song. I owe the world a living, tra-la-la-la-la-la-la-la." I hope you enjoyed my story. It teaches us to work together and to help each other. And that's what we need right now. Thank you.